Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR. Ooh, that was dramatic. That was seriously dramatic.
Boom.
Live on the SHR Media Network. It is 5 days before Christmas, the 20th of December, 2017. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, here we go again. Clint plus technology equals what the fuckery. Obviously, we're joined.
Fucking technology.
We're joined by Sackhead Clint, who we appreciate making the show this evening. It's always nice to have you as a guest here in studio, and we're definitely going to talk to you about what you're doing in the world, and we appreciate you.
No,
coming
not.
And of course, sitting off to your left, my right, left to right across the radio, is the Santa Claus himself, the conservative Santa Claus, the bloviating Zeppelin. Sir, thank you so much for joining us this evening as well.
Santa Claus is a communist.
What?
He believes in wealth redistribution.
And I am...
you get shit for free. Who pays for that?
Sackhead Sean, and that's not important right now because Santa's a communist. He wears red.
I thought your parents did. Your parents paid for it.
Well, no, not Santa himself.
Not Santa himself.
But see, no, I don't look at that as a redistribution of wealth, right? Because it's his wealth. It's not government forcing.
How do you know? Did you not read under Obama the budgetary cutout for Santa Claus so that the kids in underprivileged neighborhoods can get bigger gifts?
Well,
and Santa Claus gets a credit because his sleigh does not run on fuel. So he gets an environmental tax credit on that.
Wait a minute.
And
now,
this is BZ. This is exactly why I have
deer fart. Okay.
Yes,
just like cows.
This is exactly why I have
reindeer
this right
are
now.
magical and they don't fart.
BZ, this is why I brought booze tonight.
So and the other part of that
if only
is
I'd known.
Look, how do you guys are into news? How do you not know this? And the other part of that piece of legislation, I actually think it was an executive order, because that's how he did his business. This is breaking news.
This is breaking news.
Is that, white children got smaller gifts, and minority underprivileged children got larger gifts.
That's only fair.
So under the executive order, Santa Claus had to spend the exact same amount of money, but he had to spend like 75 to 80% of it on underprivileged in his mind just meant minority children.
Well, I you know what?
Fair.
I had no idea.
Fair.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And Santa Claus signed on. It was the biggest controversy. Look, it was the biggest controversy since Smith & Wesson signed on with Bill Clinton during the whole gun shenaniganry. Come on.
I like that. Shenaniganry.
Was it that one?
No, it was the one prior.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I got those all messed up. I can remember.
Which is why I don't buy Smith & Wesson even still today.
Well, and you know what, Clint? I appreciate you filling our listeners in on that important piece of legislation that was
Thank you.
obviously missed.
Thank you.
That does explain the red suit. Mm-hmm. It's funny. So, actually, I'm going to correct you on a few things, though, right?
Oh, sure. Yes.
Here you have a private entity who is being...
Not anymore. He's
Wait.
government subsidized. It's like Amtrak.
Stop.
You're wrong.
I'm going to equate this
Okay.
to why Chevy and other car dealers went out of business. Or almost went out of business and needed a bailout because the government enforced all the green policies on them, and the research and development cost them so much it almost killed them.
Right.
And they were forced to put out cars that they weren't ready to put out.
Right.
Same thing with Santa, private entity.
Yeah.
He absolutely was a philanthropist, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
He was generous. He was making all of these toys and giving it out, and the government said, we're not getting our piece.
Yes. Yeah, so you did read the legislation.
Yes.
So then, or the executive orders. Then why are you looking at me like I'm crazy?
Well, because you only told half the story.
Well, I didn't have a chance to get yet to the labor laws.
Oh.
because here's the thing: Obamacare hit and it crushed him. I mean, he had to take the bailout. He could not afford the health care for all those elves.
Well,
His
elves,
doctors.
yes.
The
And reindeer have operating limit. They have operational limits as
They
well.
do. And I mean, look, there is an ER in the North Pole, but even the regulations for the doctors there and the medical treatment there, they all now have to go to Kaiser. So
It's a BPO. They have Kaiser and mini Kaiser for the elves.
yeah.
Yeah. You only had to build half the building.
Well, they're just different doors. That's all. They just
Little smaller.
that's all.
Yeah, you didn't see where they're opening a North Pole Kaiser?
They're opening them everywhere.
Yeah.
Kaiser North and Kaiser South. They'll have
Right.
a South
Yeah.
Pole one as well.
Which is weird because nobody's really there yet. But
Yeah, well, you know,
Just-
get out
just
ahead
in
of it.
case.
But the good part is speaking of Obamacare, and I know we'll get into this in a little bit, but the mandate's going to be gone. So that's good news.
that's good news.
Helping Santa out all the way.
That's right.
And, he's one of those dirty 1%ers, right?
Who, Santa?
Yeah. You know, the left's always talking about the 1%ers and all this other stuff. And he's going to get helped out, too.
He's evil because he's white.
I didn't say that. You did.
Yeah, I did.
No, okay, good.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure we're both clear on who said that.
No, I said that because it's true. If you look at all the carve-outs in that, even though he had all these write-offs, you would think they still taxed him on his income, which is zero, which is weird. Because what they did is they said, okay, how much milk do you get?
Right.
And how many cookies do you get as gifts? That is income.
Certainly it is.
And-
That's- exactly.
Yep, and at $1.25 a cookie, which I think is the going rate if you go to like a Mrs. Fields or something like that, at $1.25 a cookie times how much? I mean, Santa Claus clears a few million a year.
Oh no,
he's
wait,
rich.
Wait, let's do the numbers. How many people are there in the United States? 320 million, right around in
Yes.
there. Okay,
Right.
that's just the U.S.
Right.
So
Correct.
let's say potentially 150 million of those people actually do set. Number one, they believe in Christmas. Number two, they
Right.
set out milk and cookies. Now, wait.
Right.
That's 150 million.
Right.
150 million right off the bat. Now, again, that's just the United States.
Yes.
Right. How many countries are there in the world? Close to 300, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Now, multiply that times the number of countries and the number of occupants in those countries that believe in Christmas, and then Santa has to visit that night.
Right. And
You could potentially be talking about $1 billion in one damn
and
night.
that's income. And here's the thing. Here's
It
the
is
weird thing.
income.
Nobody talks about Santa Claus having to dodge anti-aircraft fire and missiles when he flies over the Middle East because they don't want anybody believing in Christmas flying over their zone. I mean, he gets hazard duty pay for flying to Christian homes in the Middle East or in Muslim countries. And so now you tack on another 20%.
Well, there's hazard pay, there's flight pay,
Right? Yeah.
and he's been doing this a long time, so there's
Seniority pay.
Yeah, he's tenured.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got to be top. The
Top step,
He
right?
is top
at
step
this point, right? Yeah.
Without a doubt, he's top step.
Hey, he's probably putting everything to deferred at this point, anyhow, right?
There's no retirement program.
Oh.
Yeah, I looked into it.
Well, then he's very sneaky, though. And he's very wise, especially counting social media. Have you ever seen pictures of the outside of Santa's house? No,
No.
you never have. So do you really know where it is? And do you know how many rooms, how many square feet his house has? No, you don't.
Yeah,
That's
part,
very
though, is-
smart on his part.
Look, he had to disclose it, though, to the government for this in case they ever needed to serve a warrant for tax evasion.
Well, and here's the other thing, too, is, and this is why I like the Santa fella. Haven't seen him in any of the controversies that's come up lately, right?
Not yet.
Right. We've
Not
had
yet.
no elves come out and
Well,
complain.
Guinevere, the female elf, was just did an expose, and it's rumored to come out, and I saw it on one of the magazines in the grocery store, where she said Santa groped her back in 1652.
1652.
well,
And
okay,
as
now-
you know, these
It
controversies
doesn't
never
matter
go
how
away.
old
It
they
doesn't
are.
matter.
Does not matter how
Right.
old they are.
Exactly. Hashtag me too.
Right. Never mind that she was a whore and wanted the job, but whatever. We talked about that.
Hashtag also Santa.
Right.
Controversy strikes.
I hope there's no kids listening to this show right now. Santa Claus is a pervert.
You know what? Honestly, there better never be a child listening to the show. Because that's not our fault. We've
Right.
said millions of times
Yes.
that this show is not for the youth.
Yes.
That little box is ticked where it says, adult content. Click yes.
I have. Yes?
You know what I missed? And I hope you have some. Because Sean and I were discussing not long ago. You know what we really miss? We miss Clint's stories. We miss Clint
Yes,
coming in
yes.
and telling a story and saying, wait, I got to tell you something.
It seems like every time you're a guest, you have an interesting story to tell us.
Yes. Look, I've got some great freaking stories to tell you guys over the last couple weeks, and I'll have an even better one tomorrow. But unfortunately, I can't.
No, and you know what? I would rather wait the next time you make an appearance. I think we have you scheduled like 3-4 weeks out at this point.
Yeah.
Hang on.
I have to look at his calendar. He has to check. Carry the two.
No, I'm good. I think actually after the first of the year, I should actually be around.
Hey, well, let's tell everybody up front right now. Let's make a decision. Are we here next week?
Why wouldn't we? Be?
Why wouldn't we be?
Okay, just check.
It's like the 3rd or something, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, no, because...
what is it, the 27th, 26th?
yeah, 20
like the 40th? What is it?
It's the 42nd.
It's the 42nd.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the 40th.
It's the 40th. Yeah, if it's the 45th, then
We're there.
we're definitely here.
27th. Yes,
Yeah, we're definitely here.
27th. Okay, great. Good. I will be here.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Thanks for doing the show by yourself.
That's odd. That's what I wanted to avoid.
The best part is I could be at home and BZ will pull up and be like, "Oh, good, Sean's here. There's the truck."
Yeah.
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 No, I'm
Sean's passed out.
No, I'm not. You'll enjoying a little bit of the nog, my friend.
So I have a. That's funny. Somebody enjoyed the nog a little too much and got decorated as a result.
Oh, how
I don't
wish.
believe it. I'm sorry. That I don't.
I showed you the picture. I'm not going to show our friends, but I'm going to show you the picture. Okay, so I got a story for you guys.
Yes.
I didn't think you were going to go there.
Yeah, look, I can't help it. So, box wine.
B-dubs.
I'm going to get killed for this, but she's not even listening right now.
I'm still
'cause she's
back,
at
and
a-
I don't believe there's
she's at a
boxed
class.
water. I still have not seen boxed
I
water.
have-
There is boxed water. There absolutely is boxed water, and they sell it at Cordy's, I think.
Yeah.
No shit. There we were. We were enjoying a few hot toddies, and
Oh boy.
somebody is a very
Enthusiastic.
no. Somebody's a very heavy sleeper.
Okay,
after a couple hot toddies,
Cocktails.
and not in excess or anything like that, but just have a
No,
couple
but
hot
just a
toddies.
couple
I mean,
cocktails.
it'll put you to sleep, and if you're already tired, like you're gonna rack out. And some jackass started giggling to himself and thinking about how awesome it would be to decorate his wife
Hold on. We need a good sound for this.
for Christmas.
Something joyous. Hold
Yeah,
Did you just say something Jewish?
on. Joyous.
joyous.
Go ahead. Keep talking. I'll find something.
So the elf on the shelf actually came down and was like snuggling her head, and there was, I think, some wrapping paper and some bottles of hot toddy stuff and ribbon, and it was very festive. Very festive. Then somebody had to take a picture. Anyways, if you've never decorated your wife for Christmas, I highly
It sounds like a great idea. If you
and with
catch
and the
one
be-
in the right
and
spot.
and here's how you let her find out. So when her friend starts talking about how great of a job they did decorating their house, and they're showing pictures of the whole house in the video, and I said, "Oh, I decorated too." I said, "Oh, really? Let me see." And so I handed the picture, the phone, to the friend so that B-Dub couldn't see. And the friend had the exact same reaction you guys had in studio. And this perplexed look came over B-Dub's face. And she looked completely confused. Like,
Wait, what?
there is nothing that funny in our house. Like, our house is beautifully decorated. And it is. She did a fantastic job. And then she goes, "What are you looking at?" And she looks over, and
B-Dubs, I'm so sorry.
the combined look of comprehension, horror, and pure comedy all combined into one look.
Oh, God.
And I am so fortunate to have her as my wife because she started laughing.
I thought you were going to say you're fortunate enough to not have her be armed.
Oh, well, that's true.
Yeah,
but
at
she
that
started.
moment,
Oh yeah,
at that
she
moment.
started laughing and she, "Oh my God, let me see that!" And it was a whole thing. So, anyways, all right. So there's my story, you guys. There's
So it's a good story, though.
It's a great
It's a
story.
happy story.
It's a happy story.
Oh,
yeah, and I look. It
It's
wasn't.
it's a timely story.
Yeah, look, and it was not done, and you guys can attest to that. It was not done disrespectfully.
No, it was done very-
or tastelessly
very
or anything like
tasteful.
that. It was cute.
The shot was nice. It was framed appropriately.
There were reindeer. There were reindeer.
reindeer, yeah.
There's a lot going for it. There's a lot to recommend it.
Yeah.
I think it was great that all the guys that you invited to do the photo shoot, like the holding lights and everything, were very respectful.
Yeah,
of the
thank
si-
you.
Yeah, I thought
Thank
you
you
did that
very much.
well.
I'm so tempted to just pull it up and just show the camera.
You're so dead.
I'm so tempted, but I won't do that.
No.
I would never. I wouldn't do that because I wouldn't think that was funny if she did that to me.
Yeah,
I think it could be funny if she decorated me, but not showing a picture. So I have a surprise you guys segment. Do you guys know who Richard Boykin is?
Boykin.
Boykin.
No, Richard Boykin.
I-
Enlighten me.
He's
sir.
he's the Cook commissioner, and he's big on the whole reducing Chicago violence. And what this individual do is he flew to New York last Thursday to discuss what he described as a quote quiet genocide in Chicago's black community. And he discussed this with hang on a second, wait for it. Don't be pulling it up.
No.
Don't pull it up, wait for it. He discussed this with You ready for it? You ready to lose your mind?
No, I know who it is.
The United Nations Assistant Secretary General for Peacekeeping Support, Oscar Fernandez Franco.
My God.
What he wants to do,
I think he's going. I think you're going where I think you're going.
I absolutely am. This is an elected official in the United States of America that wants to bring in United Nation blue helmet peacekeeping troops.
Hold on, I'm almost done. Okay. Sorry. I just had to get all that out of my system.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
It's okay.
That was a good one.
To reduce black genocide in America. Now, let me read you this quote. Quote. This is from Boykin, an elected official within the United States of America,
Boykin.
the Cook Commissioner.
Cook County Commissioner.
Quote. The United Nations has a track record of protecting minority populations. There was tribal warfare between the Tutsis and the Hutus in Africa.
Tootsies.
Yeah, the Tutsis and the Hutu
Hotties.
in Africa. And they deployed peacekeeping troops there to help save those populations and reduce the bloodshed. We have to do something. Black people in Chicago make up 30% of the population, but 80% of those who are killed by gun violence. Mm-hmm. That's what he said.
Factually correct on that part.
You know what's interesting?
But
Hang on. You know what's interesting?
I think
That fucktard did not even address the fact that gun control.
Wait.
Yes.
Let's just.
Let's breathe on that.
Everyone take a nice deep breath for a second.
Hang on.
Let's think.
BZ, were you aware of this story?
I was, but I was going to.
Are you about to lose your mind?
Oh, well, yeah, listen, I can go you one better. I don't know if I'm going to, but I think I can go you one better. But even before I get there, can you imagine the shitstorm that would have occurred had a Caucasoid said that?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
my God. And reference blacks in America to black tribes
Oh,
in
yeah.
Africa and make that linkage and reference. Holy Mother
Oh,
of
yeah.
God would have there. Oh,
They'd have been lynched. The white guy. The white guy would have been lynched.
Yeah,
The white guy would have been lynched.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
that was.
I'm glad you made that
I'm
stipulation.
clarifying that.
That's very important.
Yes.
Oh,
But can you imagine had
Okay, stop.
anyone else said that?
You okay, Sean?
that was amazing.
Thank you.
So here's the reality of the situation. Let's look at a couple of things. First of all, what party has been in charge of Chicago politics now for the last, I don't know, 65, 70 years?
Oh man, that's got to be those
No,
gun
straight
happy,
answer, straight
crazy
answer. No,
Democrats.
No bullshit stuff on this for a few minutes because this is a big deal.
Okay.
So it's the Democrats. Who has tied the hands of the Chicago?
Democrats.
Okay, good. Chicago PD.
No, it wasn't Charlotte P. It was Democrats.
No. I mean,
They got their
finish-
hands tied. Yes.
Who has had a lousy prosecution
Democrats.
record?
Democrats.
The Cook County District
Democrats.
Attorney, which
Yep.
is run by Democrats.
Democrats. Boykin.
Boykin, yeah. And the vast majority of voters in that city are
Black.
Democrats.
Oh, Democrats. I didn't know where you were going with that one.
And
I didn't catch up on the
hold
theme.
on
I'm
a
sorry.
second. 80% of the people killed by guns
Are Democrats.
are black.
Are black. I didn't know. You're confusing me here. I'm going.
And
You're
they're being
going back and
killed
forth.
by,
Democrats.
in a way, yes.
I missed the theme.
Other black people, a majority of the time.
Yes.
And that was yours. Okay, I didn't know where the hell that was coming from.
Yeah,
Well, and I know what story you're talking about. But so now, because they've created this mess, and they didn't ask, like the federal government, didn't Trump offer help like just after he was elected? Like, hey,
Yes,
We could
he
offer
said,
resources
if you want
and help.
federal troops
Yep.
in these towns, cities, I'll provide it.
Yep.
and
Because you're not doing the job.
And I could see the ATF being involved in such an incident, especially if you're going to try to curb the violence by going after the illegally owned weapons by felons.
Well, hang on.
and
So
all these
here,
other
so here's
people.
the interesting part, right? His argument clearly shows that the problem is with the people, the violence, not with the weapons.
Right. And,
His statement
and
runs
wait,
contrary to
More
the
so.
gun control
but
argument.
It goes even worse than
It's
that.
not the
'Cause
guns.
Now you're dealing with the United Nations on a genocidal thing. He is in situ.
Can you have genocide? Can one
That's
race
the
have
point.
genocide against
That's-
itself?
That's the exact
It
point.
can't.
The thing is, if you're talking genocide,
It's one race to another.
it's generally
Or
one race
one-
to another.
Right.
But
Right.
that's not even the definition.
Well-
He's
Right.
even got the definition wrong.
Well, and you're also he's insinuating in some way that this is a race-related issue
Yes.
when it is not by any stretch of it's just not. Look, if 80% of the people that were killed in Chicago were black and they were all killed by a vast majority of white people,
Different conversation.
let's have that conversation.
Different
That is not
conversation.
the case right now.
Yep.
The simple fact of the matter is Chicago, which I don't know, I seem to remember like during the mob days was always kind of out of control too, because there was never serious resources into stopping it. And you now
Chicago's
have
been corrupt forever.
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 And what have they done time and again in Chicago? Anytime there's a questionable use of force, they persecute that police department down to the very end.
Yep.
So what are you doing to the morale of those officers? Destroying it.
Mm-hmm.
Destroying it. And their chief has not been entirely supportive. He's thrown a couple guys under the bus. But the problem is that in that community has to decide. The south side of Chicago, where a majority of these shootings take place, has to decide it's enough, and the community leaders need to start working with law enforcement, and the community members need to stop with this no snitching, all this other shit, and realizing that, hey, these kids are dying every day out here, and people here have the answers to stop it, and you're not.
Hey, you know what? The police serve at the will of the community. And if the community doesn't want them, walk away.
There was literally a
Right?
move a year ago,
Yeah.
or
Walk
a little
away.
bit more, to defund Chicago PD.
And just so you know,
And to which I say, except for the cops that are making money there doing that.
the exact-
Fine, do it.
the exact numbers I have right now is 75% of people murdered in Chicago are African American. 71% of the murderers are also
African American.
And
That's not genocide,
that's
folks.
2016. That's not genocide. That's a gang problem. That is a drug problem.
It's a
That is
community
illegal-
problem.
community
That's a
problem.
cultural problem.
It is a cultural problem.
It's a city leadership problem. You could argue it's a state government problem.
It's a
perhaps.
violence problem.
But Chicago has always.
I'll even go so far to say it's an American problem.
It is an American problem.
You know,
Absolutely.
Those are still Americans getting killed.
And I'll tell you why it's an American problem, because it's Demorats ruling over these cities
Right.
that makes it an American problem.
Right. And now it's gone to the point that if you even try to say, hey, this is what the real problem is, people go absolutely insane. But you could have the head of the county commissioner for Cook County go to the United Nations and plead for them to send armed blue helmets in to stop the genocide
Now
that's
listen,
happening from within.
I would pay $5.
Oh, my God,
and
please.
buy a bag of popcorn to sit there.
I'll tell you right now.
and watch how the Trump administration reacts to blue helmets coming into American
Look,
streets.
if it's going to happen,
Blue helmets and white Land Rovers. Lots of white Land Rovers.
I don't care. If it's going to happen, we will take the show on the road to Chicago.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. No, we're going.
Yeah, I don't care what we have to do to make that happen. We can find friends there. I may have a sound guy that's already there. We have some ability. I would love to mass produce that video and be there to report live.
Yes.
We'll spread out through the city. Look, they won't be shooting at us.
And then when the U.S. military shows up, laugh and laugh and laugh and high five.
yes, it's absolutely isn't. Yeah. Here's the other thing,
So
too.
okay, interesting scenario, and I don't know why this. I know
Wait,
exactly
I just
why
have
this
one
just
more
popped in my
question
mind.
because legally,
Oh.
I don't know the answer. Maybe one of you two gentlemen do.
Well, I was going to say something before we moved on to that topic.
Okay, go ahead.
So can you imagine blue helmets in there? Illinois governor
National Guard.
has the National Guard in support of the blue helmets, and
Federal government says nay, nay.
federal government says nay, nay.
Right, because you're an occupying foreign force.
Yes. And then how awesome would it be if, because now you have the governor employing troops in opposition of the U.S. troops, Trump federalizes those troops so they just walk across the lines and then,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah, he deploys the Guard, and Trump turns around and says, no.
You're federalized. We need
They're
you.
federalized. Sorry, we're calling you up for a much more important thing right now, and to get all of you guys out of trouble. So, yeah. We're not going to have that happen right now. Here's the other thing. Legally, would that be an act of war?
No, because it's the UN. It's not another country.
Yeah. But where are those troops from?
They may be Americans. You may have American troops here with a blue helmet
I
on.
doubt that'll happen. But but I just ask you this question at some point. Would you make this stretch? If that happened and the United States goes, you know what, we're out of the United Nations. Have a nice day.
At that point, yeah.
And
We're
now-
out of the United Nations. Get the fuck out of New York.
Yeah.
We're defunding you.
Well, even you can say in New York, we are no longer a member of the United Nations.
No, we'd kick them the hell out of New York.
Just have the argument for a second.
Okay, I am.
Right.
That's my side of the argument.
We pull out of the United Nations 100%. We're done. Gonzo. You will not send the United Nations because we're not a UN nation anymore, and you will be an occupying force. If not, we will destroy your building in New York. We will destroy all of your troops that come abroad, and go shit in a hat. I think that's going to be the best possible solution. And if any president would actually do that,
Oh, they'd be impeached.
I think this president would.
No, I meant the president would be impeached if they allowed UN troops to come in.
Oh yeah, no,
That's what I thought you meant.
No.
Right.
I meant, what I'm saying right now is based on what Nikki Haley has been doing.
That speech was incredible. Absolutely perfect.
Well,
Do we have the audio for it?
I could probably pull it
Sean
up.
can probably get it.
It was kind of a long speech. I'll see if I can find a chopped
Now,
down
actually, if
version
you
of the
go
break.
to YouTube, we got a break.
Yeah.
If you go to YouTube, you can find about a 1.5-minute cut of it,
Perfect.
and that is worth playing.
And this is in the UN in response to
Yes, they made
the
a
move
vote.
of our embassy.
The clip is like maybe 2 minutes with the people making the vote and then her response.
Look, let's pick this up after the break. I know we're like about 50 seconds shy of the break. Let's run to break and find the audio and pick it up on the other side.
We'll do that right here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplains.talkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch River Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians, a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless, hope to the hopeless, clues to the clueless. Sackheads Sean, Sackheads Clint, and Sackheads BZ. The Sackheads Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern on shrmedia.com. Watch on YouTube, Facebook, and the High Plains Pundit Network. The best in late-night conservative talk. The Sackheads Radio Show, only on the SHR Media Network.
Go ahead, I'll say it.
Some of the best A-roll is going to be B-roll.
Like, what are you talking about? What do you mean?
Just like the last question that you really cut a couple seconds.
Yeah, I'm a freaking artist. I can't just come up with this shit off the top of my head. Are you freaking kidding me right now?
Hey, good point. Exactly right. Oh, God.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint, and I'm with Sackhead Sean, Sackhead BZ. No communists allowed on the SHR Media Network.
Damn straight, mister.
Back to the show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show, where no communists are allowed. Right here on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us. And before we went to the break, we were talking about the UN, and of course we were talking about Nikki Haley's speech to the UN that happened this week regarding the move of the embassy to Jerusalem. It was a ridiculously powerful speech. It was an insane speech. I'm going to start, I get about a 5-minute clip of it. I'd like to play it all the way through and then discuss after, if that's okay with you, gentlemen.
It's worth it.
Absolutely.
It's worth it.
So here's Nikki Haley. No, now here she is.
For his briefing
I now give the floor to those members of the Council who wish to make statements. I give the floor to the United States.
Thank you, Mr. President. In this meeting, I will not use Council's time to address where a sovereign nation might decide to put its embassy and why we have every right to do so. I will address a more appropriate and urgent concern. This week marks the one-year anniversary of the passage of Resolution 2334. On that day in this Council in December 2016, the United States elected to abstain, allowing the measure to pass. Now it's 1 year and a new administration later. Given the chance to vote again on Resolution 2334, I can say with complete confidence that the United States would vote no. We would exercise our veto power. The reasons why are very relevant to the cause of peace in the Middle East. On the surface, Resolution 2334 described Israeli settlements as impediments to peace. Reasonable people can disagree about that, and in fact, over the years, the United States has expressed criticism of Israeli settlement policies many times. But in truth, it was Resolution 2334 itself that was an impediment to peace. This Security Council put the negotiations between the Israelis and the Palestinians further out of reach by injecting itself yet again in between the two parties to the conflict. By misplacing the blame for the failure of peace efforts squarely on the Israeli settlements, the resolution gave a pass to Palestinian leaders who for many years rejected one peace proposal after another. It also gave them encouragement to avoid negotiations in the future. It refused to acknowledge the legacy of failed negotiations unrelated to settlements. And the Council passed judgment on issues that must be decided in direct negotiations between the parties. If the United Nations history in the peace efforts proves anything, it is that talking in New York cannot take place of face-to-face negotiations between the regional parties. It only sets back the cause of peace, not advance it. As if to make this very point, Resolution 2334 demanded a halt to all Israeli settlement activity in East Jerusalem, even in the Jewish quarter of the Old City. This is something that no responsible person or country would ever expect Israel would do. And in this way, Resolution 2334 did what President Trump's announcement on Jerusalem as the capital of Israel did not do. It prejudged issues that should be left in final status negotiations. Given the chance today, the United States would veto Resolution 2334 for another reason. It gave new life to an ugly creation of the Human Rights Council, the database of companies operating in Jewish communities. This is an effort to create a blacklist, plain and simple. It is yet another obstacle to a negotiated peace. It is a stain on America's conscience that we gave the so-called BDS movement momentum by allowing the passage of Resolution 2334. To the United Nations' shame, this has been a disproportionately hostile place for the Middle East's most enduring democracy. The United States refuses to accept the double standard that says we are not impartial when we stand by the will of the American people by moving our U.S. embassy. But somehow the United Nations is a neutral party when it consistently singles out Israel for condemnation.
Yeah.
For decades, Israel has withstood wave after wave of bias in the UN and its agencies. The United States has often stood beside Israel. We did not on December 23, 2016. We will not make that mistake again. This week marks the one-year anniversary of a significant setback for Middle East peace. But the United States has an undiminished commitment to helping bring about final status negotiations that will lead to lasting peace. Our hand remains extended to both parties. We call on all countries that share this commitment to learn the hard lessons of the past and work to bring Israel and the Palestinian people in good faith to the peace table. Thank you very much.
So, listen, no one.
Somehow that didn't contain the best
Yeah,
point out of it, where she said, "There's no one that's going to tell the United States of America where we're going to place our embassy."
Yes, and I'm looking for that right now.
I mean, it was like, take the pike and just ram it up their butt.
Yeah.
And she did.
I'm just still disgusted that we screw around with the UN at all.
Right. No,
Why are we there?
Right. I agree.
It's like whips for buggies. Okay, they had their places in one day, and then we all went to cars, and there's no need for it anymore.
Yeah, honestly. Why are we there?
Or if they love the UN, take the UN and physically, keep the building, obviously, turn it in and make great condos for the East River or veterans or something like that.
A veterans hospital.
And just take all that administrative bullshit across the pond and put it in, I don't know, Brussels, Amsterdam. Those would be two great places for it.
Yeah, I was thinking like Kabul.
Yes. Hello. We're convening in beautiful downtown Kabul.
Mogadishu.
Yeah.
Mogadishu is a great place for it.
Yeah, Benghazi.
You're already there
They
anyhow.
need peace.
Benghazi.
So here's the reality of the place is first. So I understand your point, Clint. Why are we even there? And I think at this point, with this administration, the point that we're even there is to right the wrongs of previous administrations.
Yeah, but
I understand.
We can't.
Right. No, but I think that it's a great mouthpiece for the Trump administration to say to the international community, go pound sand.
Yeah, but Trump doesn't need that. With Twitter and Facebook, we don't need to say it in that environment anymore. How much money and time do we waste in there?
No, I agree with you in that regard. I absolutely agree with you in that regard. But I'm talking specifically about her speech today. First and foremost, to essentially turn around and say that the last administration left a stain on the United States by the way it's voted.
That was awesome.
That was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And one of the things that we had talked about on the show going through the whole last administration time and again is how that administration treated our friend Israel and how horrific.
How it treated all of our friends.
And then you had the United Nations coming out and condemning Israel for human rights violations. And
the U.S.
Wait, the only acting and working democracy and stable country in that entire region?
Yeah.
And you're going to come out and say that?
Yeah.
And nobody said boo about it. And I think the fact that Nikki Haley, who has been incredible
I hope she runs for president.
I hope she does, too. I think she'd be amazing. For her to come out and lay this speech out was very clear and concise about, hey, you know what, guys? Fuck you.
But I wanted to hear her say "fuck you."
I would have loved to have heard her say that.
I want. That's what I want. I want to hear Nikki Haley say, "Thank you for the time. Everybody in this entire room can kiss my ass and fuck you, and Merry Christmas,
gentlemen. I'd like to invite you all to go fuck a sock full of broken glass. That would be lovely.
And I yield the rest of my time.
And happy Hanukkah to our friends in Israel. All right, take care.
Right. Kiss my ass, kiss his ass, kiss your ass, happy Hanukkah.
Were you aware of the fact that anytime Israel came up for a vote on any sort of proposition in the UN, the vote always went completely 100% against Israel?
Yes.
Every time.
Yes.
Well, and you have
wasn't one of the mottos when Israel was found after World War II was never again?
Right.
Huh.
Well, and here's the funniest part is the United...
It's like I half expect the UN to have a resolution to Israel saying, hey, thanks for all the medical advancements that Germany did with you guys in World War II. You guys really made your mark on the world.
Yeah.
Like something that fucked up, I can imagine
coming
out of the UN.
Well, and then you have countries right now who don't get slammed with these UN violations and all
if
this
you didn't get that
shit.
joke, then you need to freaking do some historical research because that was basically that's the feeling I get how Israel is treated.
Right. Well,
right.
So the United Nations was founded out of the League of Nations, and we all know that.
Yeah.
And it was essentially
it's like the Justice League.
Yeah, just not as cool.
Not as cool.
Let's step back just for a little bit. Let's consider reality. There's this little teeny teeny-weeny nation called Israel.
That's not
And-
reality, because
and
reality,
it's-
Israel's big and people live there.
Israel's little teeny-weeny. In any event, people hate it, Muslims, let's be specific. Muslims hate it because that little teeny-weeny nation, considered of all the nations around it, how or why is it that Israel has been so successful, an industrial giant for its size, has turned the desert green, grows its own crops, has drilled for oil, and has made that little winky nation wealthy while all the rest of the nations surrounding it, who essentially have the same soil and access to the same Mediterranean waters, what happened to them?
They're not God's chosen people.
Well, and they're coming. Look, there are some nations that are not God's chosen people.
There's a biblical perspective right there, right?
There is. And it's funny because I want to parlay this into Iran, because I had a very, very interesting conversation with a guy who grew up in Iran yesterday, and we were talking about this very thing. He is not Muslim. He fled when he was 17. He ran. Yeah, he ran. And this was the second time that I've had a conversation with a person about this recently. Fled to America, got his citizenship after serving in the Army. His parents are also citizens. He cannot go back, and he knows he can never go back to even visit his family because he would be killed and kidnapped, and he knows that. But we were talking about, we ended up going down this road of politics, as you know, and he said, hey, look, people don't realize that, and people forget, and he was a younger guy, he's sub-30s. He says, people forget that before the Shah fell, Iran, you go to downtown Iran, Tehran, and it looked like an
one of the
amazing,
most
beautiful,
westernized nations.
It looked like any other major city in the world. The youth was there, the infrastructure was there, business was there. You go to the north to the Caspian Sea, it's these beautiful green fields. It's one of the top vacation spots for all of Europe until the Shah fell. And he said, the people I know that are still there, that my father knows, and family members will tell you right now, the idea that Iran doesn't already have an active nuclear missile is bullshit. He's like, everyone who lives there knows it. And that if the U.S. showed up tomorrow to invade, 99.9% of that country would say, come on in. He said it wouldn't be like Iraq. Because Iraq, you had 5 different tribes fighting for power. And then you had ISIS and all this other stuff. He's like, that's not there. He's like, before the Shah fell, he's like, there were Christians, there were Jews, there was all these different groups that lived in Iran. He said, we are hoping, he's like, and I have family that live over there that are hoping that Israel and the United States absolutely step in and bomb the shit out of the Ayatollah and his military and take them down and install a government like was there before the 70s. He said, you look at some of the people that have come out of Iran, you look at some of the people that have done amazing things that were Iranian. He's like, it's an intelligent place. There's a lot of youth. There's a lot of vigor. He's like, and that whole yearning to be free, he's like, that's Iran right now. He said, and when we see the UN talk about Israel, how horrible they are, he's like, there are a lot of people in Iran who are like, no, they're not.
So this is a serious question.
Yes.
So don't take this as being smart-ass at all. It's a serious question. If that big of a percentage of the population is fed up with it and wants
petrified, and they don't have weapons.
Bingo, that's it. No guns.
Yeah.
We've seen revolutions and mass populations rise up and take on mighty superpowers with primitive weapons. Look at what the North Vietnamese did to us in Vietnam.
Yeah, but it's different,
right? No, I mean think about it. Look at the different rebellions and uprisings in history,
yes.
and look at the French Revolution.
Yes.
Look at there have been times in history,
beggars begging from beggars.
Yeah, look, there have been times in history where an under-equipped, underfed, provisioned force of the people have risen up against a superior, right, government or a superior power,
right.
But I also think they realize and they're cognizant of the fact that the Iranian army would go run wholesale into neighborhoods and kill every fucking one.
But here's the difference too:
with
is
the blessing of all the ayatollahs.
And here's the other thing too: is back in those days, the citizenry oftentimes had the same weapons as the controlling government, or better. That is not the case in Iran.
So here in the U.S., yeah, but I mean, you could look at times in England's history where they've tried to disarm the population, right? And so what I'm saying is there have been times where. But so it's not outside of the realm of possibilities.
But you also didn't have.
Would there be help? Would the world come to help them?
I think so. Well, let me rephrase that. Now that we have a different administration, I think so. 5 years ago when there was that small uprising that started and the government put it down immediately? They were waiting. And the last guy I talked to who grew up there was telling me, because he was there, he said that they were waiting for international help to show up, and we hung them out to dry.
It was Obama.
Right. Absolutely hung them out to dry. And they didn't want, and they didn't care at the time if it was U.S. or the UN or Israel. They didn't care who showed up. They just wanted that opportunity. Look, they're very youthful. There's a large youth population. They're very well educated.
Didn't we try arming the Iranians, and it was like
that
big deal?
That didn't go
over so well,
good.
right?
Right. Well, that was after the Shah fell. That was very, very different.
Yeah.
And that was Iran versus Iraq at the time, and it wasn't
North,
right. Yeah. It didn't happen so great. But so you look at that, and now he says, and here's the difference. What wasn't there 5 years ago that you have now is the U.S. needs a decent launch pad to strike North Korea. And he said the scuttlebutt in Iran, he's like, I got relatives pretty much everywhere. He's like, the scuttlebutt is the precursor to the North Korean invasion will be an Iranian freedom, that they're going to go in because they don't want Iran, and we've talked about this before, they don't want Iran to get to the same status that North Korea is right now, and they'd be a much quicker, and they also know that North Korea is sending Iran all of their nuclear information and technology, so they would actually probably have a much better understanding of the equipment that they have in North Korea, because they'll be able to grab schematics from Iran should it happen. And it was an interesting conversation to hear somebody from another country who's an American, and he said, I'll never go back. I love being an American. I love this country. I love everything about it. He's like, but I want America to bomb my homeland. He's like, that's how bad it is under the Ayatollahs. That's how bad it is to live. He's like, and people don't realize that. You see what you see on the news, and this could happen, and Iran, they don't have this, and they're treated in the news like some sort of joke government. He's like, but the reality is they're monsters, and if you're not with them, they will kill you. He's like, they will kill babies in the street just because. He's like, they're just animals.
You don't need the U.S. to step in. We're forgetting the huge elephant in the room. The huge elephant in the room is Yemen.
Yeah.
Sitting at the bottom of Saudi Arabia. And look, here's what you're going to have very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. You've got the Saudis, who are Sunni, against Iran, who are a Shia, and Hezbollah, who is basically the terror fighting arm of Iran and Yemen. So let's see, within the past month, what two events occurred recently to piss off almost everybody? Oh, that's right. The first one was when Yemen lobbed a missile, an Iranian missile,
at the Saudis.
Yep. And the second one was about 4 days ago when, from Yemen, at behest of the Iranians, lobbed another missile, and it almost fell on the Saudi palace.
But it didn't. It was intercepted.
Right. So this whole Sunni Shia thing, trust me, with regard to Iran and Saudi Arabia, there is a coming clash. Well, and that's going to drag in two big actors.
Yeah.
Us and
China.
Russia.
Oh, Russia.
So are we looking at another proxy war?
I don't think it'll be a proxy war at this point.
We should sit back.
I don't think it'll be a proxy war. Look,
I think we sit back with Israel and eat popcorn and then go into Iran.
Well, I think
Saudi Arabia is not far from doing it for us.
Right.
That's my point.
Using our shit.
But
that's my point.
And you're seeing that with Israel and Syria right now, right? They don't go in a lot, but when they have to go in and clear some shit out, they go in and clear some shit out. I think you're going to see the Saudis start doing that as well. Look, once we have to go in and clear some shit out, that's fine. We'll hit in Yemen because the Yemen government doesn't want the Houthis there either. And they're like, oh, yeah, whatever happens at 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, geez, I was sleeping in the air traffic control center. So, oh, look, bombs drop. Shit happens. Have a nice day.
Oh, yeah, and Saudi Arabia has been bombing the shit out of Yemen.
Yeah. And it's only going to get worse.
They have already lost 10,000 civilians.
Well, and a lot of
Yemen.
And a lot of people forget, what was it, just a week ago, you had Nikki Haley break down the knowledge of the Iranian missile that was used.
Yes, and that was a great backdrop.
Yes.
And she said, we customarily don't do this, but we're going to expose this information anyway because this is what came down.
Yeah. Yep.
And it, on this little tag here, it says, made in Iran. The shit is coming.
Look, it is. I think the best thing that the U.S. could do, and Russia, would be to stay out of that.
But I don't think that's going to happen.
To stay out of that one. Now, did you guys see where Putin actually thanked the Trump administration
and the CIA
and the CIA for information that
little heads up?
Yeah,
yeah,
stopped a terror attack in
St.
Russia.
Petersburg.
Yep.
Look, I think that's a huge sign. Because they very, very easily could have said nothing. Hey, yeah, all right, that's great. We're not going to give the Americans any credit on this.
Yeah.
But what did that tell the international community?
You know what it tells me? It tells me that Putin has respect for President Trump,
yes,
this administration,
yes,
and our country right now.
But what that also did was told the entire international community is like, hey, it's not as cold as you think it is.
Yeah, it's not.
We're
it's not
sharing
as bad.
Information, right? Because we go back to the Boston Marathon bombers.
We
right?
snuggle in the shower.
Yeah.
What?
But it goes.
Is it just butt cheek to butt cheek, or is it front to front?
No, whatever.
I haven't figured out yet.
Whatever.
Yeah,
no, you're not.
We're
We're not docking.
So it's
that's
just
horrible.
Yeah, that's why would you?
just-
What is?
Okay,
how
so
does
it's
your,
just-
how does your brain even work?
It's just sort of
BZ?
butt cheek to butt cheek right now, then, right? And some of the soap maybe touching.
Yeah, they're
BZ's
dancing
all
cheek to
like
cheek.
drawing a picture. He's like, and the soap's glistening all over their
Are they
body.
facing each other and docking, or
yeah,
are we what?
The light is shining just right, and their bodies
But
are oiled.
but
BZ, just so you know, if I'm saying that's fucking weird, like that's a problem.
Are you saying that I should give up my subscription to Plastic Sheets and Wesson Oil magazine? Yeah.
No, actually.
Is that what you're trying
hey,
to
whatever
tell
you
me
do,
here?
homie,
No,
whatever you do in your
absolutely
own home.
Absolutely
Okay.
not.
The other thing that tells the international community, though, is, this goes back to the Boston Marathon bombers, where you had Russian intelligence tell us, hey, you need to watch the Sonares guy, and the Obama administration did not listen.
Yes.
And you had the attack.
Imagine that.
And now we're back to them going, hey, you know what? We want to thank the American CIA for potentially saving God knows how many lives. Here in St. Petersburg, our intelligence was able to be gathered from them and used to stop a potential terror attack. I think that's enormous for all the people. And look, I know at some point we'll probably talk about Mueller a little bit tonight.
Mueller?
But somebody said, why hasn't Trump fired him yet? And I said, because there's nothing there.
There's nothing there. Why would you fire him?
Right. At this point,
this guy's doing the job for him.
At this point, you let him play his reindeer games.
And look, and here's the thing. At the end of all of this, if anything comes down, Trump has such
it's such an easy defense. Listen,
yes.
it's like I said, Flynn's lawyer now. Flynn's lawyer has already said, Mike, baby, look, I've got your appeal already written. This is so fucking easy. It's great.
Yes. Yeah. And it's done. And that's what I said. I was like, I would never.
Look, it's like how Trump plays the media, right?
Yes.
He's doing the exact same thing with the Mueller probe.
Yep.
I don't think Trump has anything to worry about. I think he knows that.
Does the Mueller probe occur in a shower also? Just curious.
Sometimes.
But no, I think you're right. I think if you're Trump, you keep him around for the next 7 years.
Oh, yeah.
Even during the re-election.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, let's check in with Mueller, see what he's got. How you doing over there?
Anything?
Still percolating right along.
Is that a handful of Play-Doh you have? Yeah, no, you know what? I'm going to reimburse when I get out of office. I'll reimburse for all of Mueller's costs. I'll reimburse the government for it because this is adorable. Well, this is cute. What do you got, Flynn, on a 250-year-old charge that's never been successfully tried, and it's only been tried 6 times?
Yes.
Yeah, you guys nailed that one.
That'll work.
Oh, and you're just going to randomly start searching emails that you don't have warrants and access for and actually kind of do an illegal investigation? But keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
How is it that you can find 100 fucking emails, but you couldn't find the 3,500 off of Hillary Clinton's server? Nah, keep going. This is amazing. You guys are fucking nailing this. I am scared. If you need me, I'll be down in Key Largo. I golfed today. It's the most brilliant. This, like you said with media, he has played everybody by not fighting Mueller. And by being...
And it's pissing the left off.
Oh, my God. It's amazing. They are losing their shit. And you know how it's pissing them off? Because any chance they have to go, dun, 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 breaking news, 100 emails were discovered.
Yes.
Do those emails have anything in them? No. But we discovered them. Mueller, the investigation. Trump goes down. More after this. Fuck, guys, we have nothing. That's exactly what's going on at MSNBC and CNN. And the best part about it is the only time you do get anything out of them now, it's because one of their broadcasters has molested somebody in the office. That's the only thing you got out of. We'd like to apologize for the actions of yet one of our other, God damn it, Mueller. We thought you had something. Nothing. It's brilliant.
One additional point, by
Yes,
the way,
sir.
that almost everyone ignored.
Yes.
Russia's pulling out of Syria.
Yeah,
that just didn't get covered because it doesn't really fit the meme of Trump, Russia, Trump, Russia, vote, elections, Trump, Russia. I can't wait to discuss this stuff when we come back.
All that and more on the Sackheads Radio Show. Yes, sir.
I was going to say, and I know we're up against a break and we're running over for a second, but what the fuck is wrong with Boston University, Sean? Jingle Bells is racist?
Yeah. And here's the funny part:
seen
is
this report?
I
Yes,
can tell
I
you,
have. Yes,
yeah,
I have.
absolutely racist. And yeah, I'll tell you, I can tell you the entire stories about how Jingle Bells was written and why, and I'll do that and more right here on the
Because it's
Sackheads.
racist.
Oh, in Philadelphia.
Yeah, after the break here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR
Oh,
Media
and-
Network. Taxes.
Yeah.
Oh wait. Of course, I immediately. No, now we go to break. I swear to God.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch River Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m., Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? One man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Spreaker, iTunes, and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires, due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network, to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American Media Maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
This is Jersey Joe, host of the Reverb Common Sense, and you're listening to SHRmedia.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back.
Featuring right thinking.
To the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Before we go to break, we're talking about Boston University. There's a professor there who decided that Jingle Bells was racist because at one point it was performed.
Did you just say Jingle Balls?
Yeah, Jingle Balls.
Okay. I was just going to say, I think Sean said Jingle Balls.
I think he did too.
Hi.
Go. Just go now.
Now that's sweet. That is really nice.
Please just go.
People don't know how close we are.
This? You know what I'm going to do? Here's what I'm going to do. Stay there just for a second.
No.
We're right here.
No. Come on. Look at the camera. Both of you look at the camera because what I'm going to do is if you just stay still just for a moment, is on this tape, in this video on YouTube, I'm going to snag that and make a photo of it.
There we go.
Okay, I'm going to snag it and take a photo of it and make it big.
Hang on. This one, and then there's, ready? Wait for it.
Oh, yeah, baby. That's done. That's history right there. You may, as my professors used to say, you may see this material again.
That's going up at Freedom Fest.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're going to make a big-ass poster out of that bad boy. Oh, Clint, thank you.
My pleasure.
What a wonderful guy you are. Oh, lordy.
Well, I'm glad we're back now on the Sackheads Radio Show live in the SHR Media Network. We apologize for the testicle difficulties we had there.
Yes. So to speak.
So we were talking about this pinhead professor from Boston University stating that Jingle Bells was, in fact, a racist song because at one time, when it was a very common act, it was performed with blackface.
Yes.
Now, I love how anything that touched any sort of, and I understand why blackface would be offensive now on some level,
Look,
right?
Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd,
Yeah,
racist,
totally racist,
totally right. Trading places,
yeah,
right. Blackface.
Hey.
Dan Aykroyd did blackface.
Yes, he did, and there's been
Gene Wilder.
Yes. Hey, Eddie Murphy did whiteface for a Saturday Night Live commercial,
and he did Jew face.
He did Jew face as
in
well.
Coming to America.
Yes, he did. Such a great movie, by the way.
That was great. They're making another one.
I know. I'm hoping it's going to be better than it is.
Top Gun 2.
Okay, let's stick to Jingle
It's going to be
Bells.
coming out also.
But for people who don't know, and this is our pre-Christmas show, and we have to talk about the Battle of Trenton before we get off the air. So Jingle Bells was actually written officially in a city called Medford, Massachusetts. I grew up right next door. And it was written to commemorate. It was written by James Pierpoint. And he wrote it while he was sitting at the Simpson Tavern. They used to have sleigh bell races or sleigh races.
Did you say slave races? This
Sleigh.
is why it's racist.
Sleigh.
Oh.
Open sleigh.
Oh.
Up and down Route 60, Salem Street into Pleasant Street and Malden, back and forth. And
Malden.
Yeah. And they used to have the sleigh races there. James Pierpoint. Sleigh.
Not slave.
Watched it, listened to the bells. It was actually written as a Thanksgiving song originally. It became a Christmas song. And it was written because he thought it was just a lovely event, right? The community would come out. It wouldn't be like a drag race nowadays. They would just race up and down.
Well, drag race in the California sense,
race,
or drag race
race.
in
Right,
terms of
right.
the race car.
So you have this song that was originally written for Thanksgiving.
This is all clearly just a misunderstanding.
Turned
She
into
probably
Christmas.
thought it was a slave slave race. Right. Right. Let's just call her.
Let's just call her. It was Pinion, I think her name is, or something like that. Pinhead. But
Great.
either way,
Cana Hamill.
Oh, Hamill. And now I know that she is descendants of African slaves, and she is particularly insulted based on her heritage.
So she was a slave. I didn't realize that.
Hold on. No, wait. I think she's white. Yeah. No, she is.
Oh, she's white.
Yeah.
Well, white people were slaves.
Well,
from the African tribes.
Certainly they were.
Right. Europeans were enslaved
That's correct.
by the North Africans.
There is not one civilization that grew up that has never owned slaves. Not one.
Right.
Well, and that's right. There are slave owners these days, too, in
Africa.
African countries and Muslim countries.
Yes.
Wait, why don't we hear? Yeah, why don't we hear of that? That's bizarre. I can't understand why we don't.
Either way.
Do you?
Yeah, because it's not racist.
Either
they own
way,
slaves for different purposes.
Either way.
Right, to get work done.
The point of
exactly.
this
Good
story
point.
is
No, you're right.
Thanks.
The point is that once again we have an idiot professor who is claiming something that's racist that was never intended to be any sort of racism. It was actually to celebrate family time, people coming together, community enjoying itself and celebrating and it's also an attack on Christmas because it is now predominantly a Christmas song. It was really more of a winter song. It just gets sung at Christmas because of the holidays. So this is a two-prong attack. It's clearly this racist term, and it's anti-Christmas too.
Look, my kids were singing Jingle Bells, and I about came unglued. I sat that 4 years old, man. I sat him down and I said, "You racist little cretin," and I made him cry and cry.
God,
yes.
By doing that, you kept him from blooming.
Yes.
Into a world-shaking racist.
Yes. And so I told him what a little racist he was, and that in order to sing Jingle Bells, he had to have this. And I gave him some shoe polish. And what? Is that bad?
No, I didn't say anything.
So let's look at it from my point of view when my son
obviously
sings
you had
Jingle
shoes
Bells.
that needed to be shined.
Right.
Let's look at it.
And I said that to be absurd, right?
Let's look at it from my point of view. My son sings Jingle Bells. For anybody who does not know, my son is adopted and he is half black.
Yeah. Clearly your son is racist
am
because
I
he's being
a horrible parent?
Yeah, but it's
for
only
allowing
the white
that?
side.
Yes,
it's the white
because
side
it's the
that's
white
racist.
side that's singing it, Sean.
But am I a terrible parent because I allow my son to sing such a horrible song?
According to this
only half of it.
Drawn and quartered. I should be drawn and quartered. How dare I?
Right.
Well,
How
only
dare
half
I?
of you.
How dare you deny his African American heritage?
Right.
You're clearly raising him just from a white privileged perspective, Sean.
Yeah. God.
And it's so funny.
Did you like that? That actually sounded...
Yeah, listen,
right?
Listen.
When BZ goes,
we ought to take that. We ought to bag that up, make it a sound bite, and I'll put it in another promo for us. And,
yes,
and it'll be glorious.
It will be
my
magical.
God, the things I could do
when
with
you
that.
stifle BZ.
Okay, wait a minute.
You know you're in deep.
Let me make a note. Let's see, about 9:11 Pacific time. That's when I need to come back on this and then look for that comment. Okay, good. All right, thank you.
So it's just absolutely stupid to insinuate it. I do want to go over to BZ because we were talking about Chicago earlier. You have a story out of Philadelphia that
this is so stupid.
This
just
is
when
just
you think
government at its finest.
This is
at its finest.
This is from.
Why should we fear the government? Go BZ.
This is from Philadelphia. Philadelphia voted to regulate bulletproof glass in their corner stores. And okay, number one, try to come up with the reason as to why you would. Oh, by the way, I should also tell you that these are corner stores in the worst neighborhoods
of Philadelphia. Which I don't know if you know this. Philadelphia, not exactly the paradise you might think it is. There are some parts of that city that
they got the Eagles.
Yeah.
So put on your thinking caps and try to come up with a good, valid reason why you really would want to remove bulletproof glass from these bodegas. Except in Philadelphia,
racist.
Do they call them bodegas? In New York, they do. I don't know if they call them bodegas.
No, I think they're just corner stores.
Okay.
But here's Go ahead. Do you want my guess as to why?
No, yes, I'm
okay,
asking
so,
because I know what it says right here, but I'm curious what you think.
I know what the reality is, but I'm just going to throw out a hypothetical. I'm guessing that bulletproof glass holds in the air, and now it becomes a health issue for the employee inside because it's not recirculated air. Therefore, they're not getting an appropriate amount of oxygenation in their blood.
I'm going to say it's racist.
I'm going to go with racist. Okay.
I take racist for 100.
It is actually, BZ, the answer is?
You're going to love this. And I love the way it starts out. Democratic, bingo, that's all you need to know. Democratic Councilwoman Cindy Bass, a primary sponsor of the bill to remove the bulletproof glass, insisted these delis, these corner delis, restaurants, were the cause, not the effect, of trouble in her district. Yeah. Oh, wait. If you like that, then you're going to like this. Here's a quote from her. The quote is, "We want to make sure that there isn't this sort of indignity, in my opinion, to serving food through a plexiglass piece only in certain neighborhoods. So, to make sure that there's no indignity, bulletproof glass, which is a protection that the owners purchase for themselves, is now going to be removed so that people coming up there can have dignity."
If I was the owner, I'd say, fuck you, I'm closing down
Well,
then.
once again, you have a government saying you can't protect yourself, you can't protect your business. That's like mandating locks be removed because they're racist.
Locks make people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, they make...
You know what? Locks make people feel unwelcome.
Right.
And why are you not welcoming people into your home?
When I walk up to that home and there's a lock on it, I don't want to go inside.
Right.
Even when the people aren't home and I'm shaking that front door as hard as I can.
Right.
I don't want to go. But these.
Why
are the same,
can't I go inside and get cold and get warm?
These are the same open border assholes.
See, note to Cindy Bass, I recommend this. Tell everyone where your house is. Give
Yes. them
the address
and the key.
And no, you don't need a key. Just
Locks removed.
Just open your door and say,
And
anybody
windows.
that wants to come in, I will not stop you with the indignity of having to either pick the lock or kick in my door. There's no dignity in that. Just come on in and take what you will.
If I was a citizen in Philadelphia, I would try to get that put on to the next ballot specifically for her house. Specifically.
Come on in.
That she is not allowed
She
to
is
have
not
locks.
allowed to lock her doors.
Yeah.
And you know, if you want to pay for something you steal, that's okay. But I'm not insisting that you do that either. I mean, if you need it, if you
But you're
want
not stealing it.
that's fine.
But you're not stealing it at that point
And-
because we've removed locks.
So she's a freaking complete jackass.
Well, yeah.
But how the Frank did 13 other council members fucking vote with
they're
her?
complete assholes too.
Well, you'll love this sentence. This is the author of the article. Speaking from personal experience as a resident of Philadelphia, the presence of bulletproof glass correlates well with the places where the city already deploys more police officers and mobile units. Whoa, whoa, what a statement. I didn't see that coming.
No, why would you? So I have another story along the same lines. Not specifically
Jesus.
tight on it, but along the same lines.
Why does anyone live in a Demorat created and festering urban rat cage anymore?
Because they pay them.
Good God.
Because the Democrats pay them. Yep.
Seeing how this has been the racist half hour of the show, I'm going to stick to another one that covers racism as well. This one's out of Palm Springs, California. And perhaps you've heard this, perhaps you've not, via Fox News. Palm Springs to remove, quote-unquote, segregation trees between golf course and black neighborhood. Palm Springs, California says it will remove a row of trees dividing a neighborhood and a golf course after residents complain that seeing the trees invoke the feeling of segregation and discrimination. After a recent meeting with the residents of the historically African-American neighborhood, Robert Moon, the mayor, and other city officials said that the tamarisk trees and chain-link fence that run along the Crossley-tracked neighborhood and the Tuckeets Creek golf course shall be removed. Many residents previously told The Sun that they believed the trees were planted in the 60s stemmed from racism.
My God. Are you fucking... Are those trees on city property or are they on golf property?
I believe they are owned by the golf course.
I'd tell the city to go eat a fat one.
Yeah.
The city council, no, it's a city because they have to approve the tree removal. It'll cost $169,000. And he said the trees will be gone in the next. I thought California was all about green.
Yes. So the city is removing the trees.
Yes.
From city property.
Yes.
Okay. So in that case, if I were the owner of the golf cart, I'd build a big fucking wall. I'd buy a big wall. I'd paint pictures of trees on the side.
You know
facing.
what? I'd reach out to the Trump administration, golf course to golf course, and say, "Hey, you guys have something going on with a wall. We're looking for ideas. What do you got?"
Right. I'd paint trees all along the backside of that wall, facing them. I'd make sure the entire thing is on my property. I'd cede that 1-inch strip or whatever to the city, and I'd make that wall like 40 feet tall.
Why?
And I'd put razor wire on the top with a sign that says "Feel like home." What?
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 What? I meant
what?
What?
Right.
I think I see what you did there.
I just want to know that, again, we can have the same argument with locks that we can have with trees right now. If I'm going to drive through that neighborhood and I see a tree between two houses, I'll be like, well, you have to pull that down. That's segregation.
Yeah. Why do you have that fence up?
Right.
Why do you, as a white couple or as a white family, have a fence between you and your black neighbor?
It's amazing to me, absolutely amazing to me, how triggered people are right now, and how certain people will use this current feeling
the race card at the drop of a hat
race card
with just
and
bullshit.
It's not even like this neighborhood,
so
right?
well.
You have this white progressive
That's the
Democrat
point, right?
professor at Boston University who's invoking the race card, endearing herself. I guarantee you she runs for office someday.
Oh, yeah. Look, and why does it work so well? And I said the razor wire thing to be completely fucking absurd, obviously. But that's how absurd removing trees are from a city. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Almost $170,000 to remove trees?
Right. Now, $170,000. Where else could that money go?
Fire service,
anywhere?
police service,
yeah,
another park.
How about another park in that community? Redo a whole other park in that community. A new play structure for the kids.
A library.
A million different uses. There's a million different uses that money can be used for in a positive way, instead of removing it because some people feel fucking icky. But that's what this comes down to, folks. People are either trying to use the race card to become famous.
Watch what's going to happen with that golf cart, with that golf course.
Yeah,
people aren't going to want to golf there anymore because you don't.
Well, if it's hot as hell,
look, you
golf. You can't stand under a tree that isn't there.
You golf to kind of get away, get out of the city, and all that other stuff, right?
See some nice stuff, nice surroundings, nice trees.
Trees. You don't want to golf right next to apartments, houses. I don't care what it is.
Right. Well, and you do have golf courses in some housing communities, but the ridiculous
highly regulated HOAs, the golf course is included in those, right? That's not this situation.
It is not the situation. But the reality is none of that even matters. What matters is we have this current state of mind in this country that everything is a fucking insult and everything is a fucking trigger.
Yes.
You look at these pussy hat people. You look at Antifa. You look at all these feminazi groups. You look at the NAACP. Any chance that watch the news. Anytime we have the president or any other person on the right say anything that is deemed that's probably racist, the news explodes over it, and you wonder why people feel like racism is everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, it's to the point in America, just like I said in chat, where you're no one and you're nothing until you're a victim of something or someone.
No, not even a victim of something. It's a victim of certain things.
Right.
You're a victim of
but you must be a victim.
You have to be.
And you've been victimized
your whole life.
And you may not know it, but you're a victim.
Yeah. But again, right, you can't be a victim of somebody stealing your property because they're underprivileged. You can't be a victim of a burglary.
Right.
You have to be a victim of a white man sexually harassing you, or you have to be a victim of racism, or you have to be a victim of somebody wouldn't bake you a cake.
Right. And you're 100% right. And that's the problem we have right now in this country.
You can't be a victim because you're Christian and somebody doesn't
hey,
want you to
know
say
what?
Merry Christmas.
If my car got stolen right now in California, it's not even a felony. It's a misdemeanor, right? If I get punched in the face in certain counties, like Sacramento, they're not even going to charge it.
But they can write a report, but the DA at intake
will not charge it.
Will go,
yeah, right? You can't be, you individually cannot be a victim anymore, but as a group, people are being told that they're victims everywhere.
You can't be a victim here if you're punched in the face by somebody of another race and they call you white cracker.
Right. They won't
felon
touch it.
in possession of a gun is now a
misto
in California.
Yes.
Woo!
Hey, there are some
Wait,
types
what?
Yeah. There are some types of rape that are now a misto.
That's true, but felon in
Non-violent.
possession of a firearm is still a felony.
Good luck charging that one.
Well, okay, that's but now we're
That's
talking
the
about,
only thing that San Francisco convicted that other guy on.
But that was charged under special circumstances. I
Yes,
guarantee
exactly.
you.
That was linked directly to, well, God,
California hates guns. So in these
California
liberal
hates-
communities, they will charge somebody for possession of a gun.
California hates
hold on.
intelligent people because
Yes, they do.
people because it's Californians who passed Prop 47 and
Yes.
Prop 57.
But we're going down
live
to-
with it, fucktards.
Yeah, but you know what?
We're
Because
going
they
down a
didn't-
different road.
They
Hold
didn't
on.
read it, right?
Hold on. We're going down a different road. I want to go back to portions of this country being triggered over ridiculous things.
Yeah, go ahead.
You look at the different. What was the Missouri, Missoula, right? Where you had that professor talking about racism. Look at what happens in St. Louis after the Darren Wilson incident and the Michael Brown incident. You look at all over the place. They don't identify specific incidents. It goes, hey, this person was a victim of this person, and it is between those two people. No, it is never between two people anymore. It is when it is a white person and any other person, that white person against that. Look at what happened to Zimmerman, right? It was Zimmerman and Martin. And it turned into this entire race culture,
Though he
race
wasn't-
baiting culture.
He had a white name, but was he white?
Oh, no.
No, the media made him
When
white.
they found out he was Hispanic, they about shit a chicken. And
because only by making him white did that fit the meme, because he had this terrible Teutonic name, so he must be white, that evil Caucasoid Zimmerman.
But,
oh, wait.
But we've seen it time and again and time and again and time and again. And the part that amazes me is there's still fuel in that tank, right? You would think at some point the vast majority of people in this country would stand up and go, you know what, this is bullshit. Hey, you know what, when Darren Wilson was thrown to the grand jury, it was bullshit. Everyone knew it was bullshit. That DA punted. He took the easiest way out as possible. We're going to turn it over to a grand jury. Instead of coming out and saying, no, he shouldn't be prosecuted. Here's the evidence we have. I always go back with Michael Brown because I think about how an entire city was burned to the ground, essentially, over an incident that never should have been as big as it was. And the news and Obama had a hand in making that just explode, literally in Ferguson. Freddie Gray, they tried the same thing. But the one thing that I always go back to in Ferguson is the video that was on YouTube for about an hour and then has never surfaced again of the two guys that were... Their audio was being recorded as somebody was taking a cell phone of the body in the street. And the guy's literally saying he ran up and began punching that cop in the face over and over again until he got shot. And you never heard it again. They had no idea they were being audio recorded. They were standing next to the guy videoing. Mm-hmm. Why? Just like we see with other social media, we see it with Facebook, we see it with Twitter. Things get censored that don't meet the narrative of the left over and over and over again.
Do you remember the Tea Party, the picture of the Tea Party activist at CNN? They'd pan up. It was a picture of a man standing to the rear, AR-15 slung on his back. They panned up to the neck, and they panned back down.
Yep.
And they see these racist Tea Party activists with their AR-15 assault rifles.
Right.
You look at the whole clip, the guy was black.
Yeah.
It was a black, bald head.
Yeah.
But the media, do you remember that? And I don't remember if it was CNN or MSNBC. I don't remember who did it.
I think it was MSNBC.
But they
that guy was
up,
interviewed later.
Yes, they panned up, and these racist Tea
laughing.
Party activists, and you see this guy, boots, jeans, if I recall, or maybe I don't know.
Slung AR.
Just another
Slung
redneck
AR,
hick.
Yep.
Redneck hick racist.
Yes.
And then, there's this,
Stop,
and they
stop,
pan
stop.
back down, right? And that's all.
Down.
Well, you look at the full clip.
Yeah.
It's a black guy.
Yeah. who is a conservative and part of the Tea Party.
Racist Tea Party activists.
Yep.
Well, this is our narrative. Oh, yeah, the blackhead's not our part of cut that.
If there's something as far as social issues that I want the government to stay out of most social issues. But if there's
the government to stay out of most everything.
If there's a social issue that I'd like to see the president speak on, and he's done a pretty decent job of trying to quell it, it is this racial divide that has been instilled by Democrats over the last 9 years. That everybody who is not white is a victim of white person. Look, there was a class, and I want to say it's in Portland, Oregon right now, on how to deal with your white privilege and how to get rid of it.
Yes.
First and foremost,
recognizing that you have it.
Right.
And how to get rid of it.
Who the fuck signs up for that class?
Let's just cut to the chase. All you leftist caucasoids, let's stop all this bullshit and blah, 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 blah. Do what you need to do. If you're a caucasoid leftist, just kill yourself.
Don't do that.
No, that's fine.
No, don't do that.
Take yourself out.
Don't do that.
I gotta read what
that is not. BZ is not. That is not the opinion of the SHR Media Network or the Sackheads Radio Show.
The guest who joined us arbitrarily this evening.
That is not.
And he's not here.
Do not kill yourself. If you're having suicidal thoughts, please seek attention. Call suicide hotline immediately.
They're not having suicidal ideations. They just need to live up to their philosophy. That's all I'm saying. They need to live up to their philosophy and just cut to the end.
Well, but here's the problem. They're not true believers. They're all drive-by believers.
If they don't do it, they're not true believers.
No, but they are. None of the people that show up, none of the white people that show up and talk about it, none of the white people who, they're not true believers.
No.
They just want it's like this pinhead out of Boston University, right? This white female professor talking about jingle bells. Same thing. You think she gives a shit? No. This is her minute to make a fame, and she got in front of the news cameras. I guarantee you that she's going to work with Elizabeth Warren in 3 years or some bullshit. Folks, we're up against a break.
I got to say this before we go real quick. White Mamba wrote in chat, I'm dreaming of an overprivileged Caucasian Christmas, just like the ones I never know. May your days be merry and multicultural, and may all your Christmases be black.
We'll be back here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplains.talkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m., Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch Reaver Common Sense Show hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else. So consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians, a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless, hope to the hopeless, clues to the clueless. Sackheads Sean, Sackheads Clint, and Sackheads BZ. The Sackheads Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern on shrmedia.com. Watch on YouTube, Facebook, and the High Plains Pundit Network. The best in late-night conservative talk. The Sackheads Radio Show, only on the SHR Media Network.
Go ahead, I'll say it again.
Some of the best A-roll is going to be B-roll.
Like, what are you talking about? What do you mean?
Just the last question that you cut a couple seconds.
Yeah, I'm a freaking artist. I can't just come up with this shit off the top of my head. Are you freaking kidding me right now?
Good point. Exactly right.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint, and I'm with Sackhead Sean, Sackhead BZ. No communists allowed on the SHR Media Network.
Damn straight, mister.
Back to the show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. As you can see, there were only two left. Sackhead Clint did have to depart. We appreciate him making an appearance this evening.
That's right, And maybe from now in the future, we should, when we write up the posts and whatnot, we post the show.
Special guest.
We should say, with special additional guest, thank you for stepping in, Sackhead Clint. Really appreciate it. or something to the tune of, with infrequent yet special guest, Sackhead Clint.
He will be back next week.
Don't think I couldn't write it that way.
Oh, I know. I know you can. He will join us. He'll be back next week. Oh, geez, he'll join us. I can't even let the joke go.
We already agreed on the air. We're going to be back here, all three of us, next week.
Yep. Right. So before we go in, and of course it's our pre-Christmas show, the show we always do before Christmas, we talk about the Battle of Trenton, and I will get to that. I have the honor this year of doing that. It is a Sackheads tradition.
This is my first Christmas.
Yeah, with the Sackheads.
In an official capacity.
Yes.
With the Sackheads. And I have not, my 1 year anniversary of actually having a show will not be until next month.
Right.
Or it's February. I think it might be even February.
It's February. You joined us for a few shows here before you launched yours.
I didn't launch mine until January, February this year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So 2018.
Wow, I don't have any sort of seniority at all.
No, you're low man on the totem pole, Jack.
Shit, I'm still on probation.
Yeah, you're lower than whale shit, as I've once been told.
Exactly.
So we did have a tax bill that got passed, and I want to talk about this briefly. A sweeping tax bill, 80% of the country will get a cut. I said on Facebook and Twitter today, the only reason that liberals and the left are opposed to this tax bill is because it is not their person in office and it is not their bill. Any person who is opposed to this tax bill, the only thing that the left gets away with is the Obamacare mandate being removed. They can be mad about that because that was their bill. I'm not saying they're right, but okay. Of course they're going to circle their wagons around that because that was their thing, especially Nancy. But overall, 80% of this country will get a cut. If you are true middle class, between $50,000 and $125,000, you will get a substantial cut. If you are over $1 million, you will get a decent cut as well. And the Obamacare mandate has been removed. I can tell you right now.
That's all you need to slaughter Obamacare.
Yes.
Whatever teeth may have occurred, you may as well pull out your dentures, and your granny's going to be gumming you from now on. That's all that's going to be happening.
Yes. Look, to have the Obamacare mandate removed is and this has not been widely reported. You know, it's funny, when all of this was going on,
mainstream media's not going to report that.
When all of this was going on, I was focused actually on the mandate. I knew they were going to do the tax cuts, right? I knew the tax cuts would be in there, just because they had to, right? If the GOP was going to pass any sort of tax bill, the tax cuts would have to absolutely be in there for them to be at all successful.
Well, they went out of their way to say it's a tax.
Yes. And now...
Okay, well, you live in
we're
the
cutting
love.
it. Now you're cutting it.
Yeah.
Now we're removing the mandate. This is the beginning of the Obamacare implosion.
You live in the
because
dream.
now you're going to have people opting out, right? All these people who were
yeah.
forced in that did not want to are going to opt completely out.
Well,
and without them...
And that's the deal. Without them, they already know God, who was that fucktard architect of this thing? Gruber.
Yes.
Already said that, we did this because they know full well you, meaning the taxpayers and the general public, the proles, the serfs, the groundlings, the commoners, you, me, the American taxpayer, we're too fucking stupid to realize what's going on. And the answer is, to a great degree, he's right.
Right.
But we just don't like having our faces pushed into that.
Right. And now... like I said, or like you said, mainstream media has talked about, the 1%ers are the only people getting taxed. And look at the tax of the 1%er. Nancy Pelosi called it an apocalypse.
Yes. Do you know how many people are going to die behind this? I sent a tweet to Kurt Schlichter, who I still have to get on here. And he said, that's funny. Am I dead? And I said, hey, that's funny. That's just like David Lee Roth in the Van Halen song, I Don't Feel Tardy. Hey, BZ doesn't feel dead.
Right.
I'm still here.
Right.
How does that happen?
I don't know. I do not know. BZ, tell us a little bit more about the tax bill, please.
In bullet points, let's see, the corporate tax rate finally is going to be cut from 35% to 21%. So finally, we're going to be able to have some competition around the world. Why was it that, for example, Ireland was able to attract so many businesses to it? They decided that they were going to cut the tax rate in Ireland to the point where businesses said, we almost can't afford not to produce things in Ireland. It was there's one fallacy. I think the GOP may have oversold this in a fashion, and that's this. They said that immediately businesses are going to start bringing their wealth back from foreign lands. Maybe yes, maybe no. But with more money in the pockets of American taxpayers, and it's not going to be $1 billion. You'll probably see some of it. But after a while, businesses, the purse strings are going to lighten. You're going to feel more comfortable with spending. But this takes time. And what I think the Republicans should have said is, here's what's probably going to happen when the purse strings are loosened just a bit. There'll be more spending. When there's more spending, there's more of a demand for products. When there's more of a demand for products, then the various businesses and corporations will say at that point, well, maybe we do need to hire some more people to meet the demand. And perhaps we do need to produce and manufacture more products, again, because of this demand. So it won't happen overnight, but it's probably going to happen. I hope that they did not oversell it so much. There are 7 individual tax brackets now from 10% to 37%. A lot of people on the lower scale were very worried in the 10% area. Were very worried that initially they thought that their 10% bracket was going to get kicked up to 12 or 15. Mm-hmm. That didn't happen. So there are 7 individual tax brackets from 10% to, I think the top is 37%. Child tax credits double up to $2,000 a year. And Marco Rubio, that was his gig. The standard deduction nearly doubles to $12,000, $12K for individuals, and $24,000 for married couples. And you can deduct up to $10,000 of property or state and local taxes out of that. And there's some other things that are in
Obviously,
that as
there's
well.
going to be a bunch of little other things that are just jammed in.
But you mentioned early that the leftists just went fucking insane over this. And the reason is very, very simple, especially now when you're talking about last year, hell, for the past 8 years, Obama couldn't break 3% GDP in 8 years.
Could not.
2 consecutive quarters now, bordering on 3, I think, of a 3% GDP, which next year could go higher. If you get 2, 3, 4 consecutive quarters of a 3% or higher GDP, then everyone was, all the businesses, people were so tense during the past 8 years that no one wanted to let loose with any cash. And they didn't want to build up any inventory on anything. They couldn't afford it.
Yes.
Inventory was cash. You can't afford to build that up. The supply chains were so damn thin. Margins were thin. Everyone was on the ragged edge, mostly because in many cases, small businesses all the way up to huge corporations didn't know what the fuck the Obama administration was going to pull literally out of left field, and some new rule or regulation was going to be slathered on the corporate and business world. So they lived with incredibly tight sphincters and tight wallets in the past 8 years. There's starting to be a cash flow now again, with this caveat.
Wait. Cash flow?
Yeah, with this caveat. If, however, for whatever reason, wacky, whatever you call it, if this doesn't work well, this is going to sink the Republicans, just like no new, what did George H.W.
No new taxes.
Yeah, he said, that's right. He said, read my lips.
Yep.
No new taxes. Trust me, that one sentence slayed him and put in Willie J. Into office. Just that one little teeny weeny sentence.
Yep. And really quick, I do want to cover the good things that have come out of it already. What's it? Boeing, Wells Fargo Bank.
Oh, God, who was it? Somebody else just said that they were going to put almost $1 billion. Oh, AT&T. AT&T said that they're going to put almost $1 billion back into building, increasing infrastructure, hiring. Folks, that's in one day. One day. And the other point of that is the Demorats are so absolutely festooned with insanity over this is because they absolutely cannot afford the Trump economy to succeed, because that abrogates every philosophical bent they've ever had.
Right.
A tax cut they cannot afford to have a tax cut stimulate the economy any more than it is. Because in a good economy, people are going to keep voting for the person that provided that to them.
Right.
And it sure shit wasn't Barack Obama. I said last night to Dan Butcher, I said we have the strangest dichotomy right now where Barack Hussein Obama was wildly popular, but his policies were crap. Compare him to Donald Trump, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, is extremely unpopular, but his policies appear to work.
Well, there was
and he's doing what every other politician said but never did, is he's starting to meet all the things that he said he would do.
Well, and that was the first.
Heinous.
You look at the first year of what he's done, policy-wise and sometimes not policy-wise, right? All the people who have been released from foreign countries, some of the policy stuff that he's passed. Look at reciprocity. Reciprocity is rifling through Congress right now on the 2A.
Oh, my
I mean,
God, leftists hate that.
There's so many things. There's so many things that are popping up right now that he's done in his first year that have actually really, really, really good. Dan Butcher over at Lone Star just texted me and says, mark my words, we'll see 4% growth in the first quarter of 2018. I don't doubt it whatsoever.
I wouldn't be surprised. Dan and I talked about that last night.
Look, you remember when he started talking about the rework and the deal with Mexico, and Carrier right away, even before he was president, was like, hey, we're staying. We're going to expand.
Yeah.
Ford was another one.
Shoot, there were about 2 others.
There was a great post, actually, that Dan put on Lone Star on his Facebook page, and it was a cartoon, and it showed Trump's economy, which was a giant cruise ship, and Obama standing on a raft. It says Obamanomics, and it said something to the effect of like it's never going to catch on, or it's never going to work, or it's never going to be enough. Talking about Trump,
yeah,
and it's an amazing depiction because that's exactly what's going on right now. Look. GDP, the growth, the money that's starting to move right now within this country and will move early next year with these new tax changes to the taxes. And he said he was going to take care of Obamacare. He said repeal and replace. This is the first real step towards that, removing the mandate. It is a 1-2 punch that the leftists absolutely were disgusted by, and now they're stuck.
He's kept his words.
He has. He absolutely has.
But the GOP Republicans cannot take their eyes off the ball.
Nope.
I've said it here. I said it last night to Dan. Mr. Helms, who was a social studies and civics teacher a long time ago, the only one thing that I remember that he said was this, and it's a truism back in the 60s as it is now. Demorats don't win elections.
Right.
Republicans lose them.
Right.
And all of this stuff, all of this power, all the things that they've gained up to this point, it's theirs to lose.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely is. And they need to keep going the best they can. Look, we have 10 minutes left. And as I said, we were going to talk about the Battle of Trenton.
This will be my first. So, and I don't know what that is.
Okay, so the Battle of Trenton is very, very, very historical as part of our revolution. It took place on Christmas Day, 1776, and over the course of the next day, it won 2 crucial battles for the American Revolution. In the Battle of Trenton, Washington defeated a formidable garrison of Hessian mercenaries before withdrawing. A week later, he returned to Trenton to lure British forces south, then executed a daring night march to capture Princeton on January 3rd. The victories reasserted the American control in much of New Jersey and greatly improved the morale of the army and militias. It was the famous Delaware River crossing. He knew that they had to make a move. They knew that at that point they were stagnant, is the best way to put it, as far as how the Americans were fighting. They needed a victory. He realized that without decisive action, the Continental Army was likely doomed, so he planned a daring assault on the Hessian garrison at Trenton. He envisioned a 3-prong attack with his army of 2,400 flanked by a 1,900 diversionary force under Colonel John Caladoir, and a blocking move by General James Ewing, 700 men. Washington's men and cannons crossed the icy river in boats and began the 19-mile march towards Trenton in a freezing storm. In the end, neither Cadwalder nor Ewing were able to carry out their parts of the plan. The Hessian force at Trenton numbered 1,400 under the leadership of Colonel Johann Rall. Although Rall had received warnings of the colonial movements, his men were exhausted and unprepared for the attack, though rumors that they were drunk from Christmas celebrations were not founded. As he approached the town, Washington divided his men, sending flanking columns under General Nathaniel Greene and General John Sullivan. Meanwhile, Colonel Henry Knox's cannons fired on the garrison. Rall attempted to rally his troops but were never able to establish a defensive perimeter and was shot from his horse and fatally wounded. The Hessians quickly surrendered. All told, 22 were killed, 92 wounded, 918 captured, and 400 escaped. The Americans suffered 2 frozen to death and 5 wounded. It was a significant battle during the Revolutionary War. It was a change. It was a battle that flung through, story-wise, the colonial army. It was Washington at his finest. It was Washington taking an opportunity. It was Washington being a tactician. It was Washington leading his men through an icy river where anything could have happened. It's not like they're jumping across in a boat now, folks. They're in old wooden rowboats.
Yeah, it was a piece of junk.
They moved all this artillery into place, cannons, everything that they could. And they jumped on the Hessians, who most people don't know. The Hessians were German
soldiers.
And very highly trained and very, very effective. And it was absolutely a significant pivot in the American Revolution. It brought us to the Battle of the Battle of Princeton. On dawn of January 3rd, 1777, Cornwallis, we all know who that was, woke to find that his opponent had disappeared while Washington's men were nearing the end of a 12-mile march to Princeton. Washington sent a small force under General Hugh Mercer to destroy a bridge. Mercer's men encountered redcoats under Lieutenant Colonel Charles Marwood, and Mercer was killed in the fighting. Arriving militiamen under Colonel Cadwalader had little effect. Then Washington arrived, riding between the firing lines until his terrified horse refused to go on. The Americans rallied and broke through Mercer's lines. It was truly pivotal. It took place on Christmas. It was a completely unsuspected attack, even though the Germans allegedly had warnings. They were completely not prepared for Washington, who knew he had to take that opportunity when he get it to turn the war around. And folks, we all kind of know what happened after the fact.
There's another very important pivotal battle that took place at Christmas, which it took place in the European theater. Can you remember what that was? The Battle of the Bulge.
Yes.
Where the Americans were being bombed and shelled relentlessly. They didn't have winter clothing. They were in terrible shape. They were getting frostbite. Their boots were not good. Their clothing and replenishment of supplies and ammo was terrible. And yet the Americans pushed through to ultimate success. When pushed, we've done in America what needs to be done at any and all times, day, night, weather. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, that's just the American...
That's the story of America.
Yeah, and that's been us from the beginning, and it'll be us forever as long as we hold on to that very, very dear belief that we can always push through and be better and succeed.
We don't have a choice. We absolutely must do it. We talked about this, I think, on Thanksgiving for what we're thankful. Mm-hmm. And I would suspect that perhaps in the last few minutes that we've got here, we need to continue to be thankful in this fashion. And we also need to remember the Christmas spirit and why it is that we're celebrating Christmas, the birth of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And you can respect these times even if, like I said, I've said Merry Christmas and Happy New Year more times this season than I have in years, at least the last decade.
I agree wholeheartedly.
And I've had more people respond to me.
Merry Christmas as well.
Being surprised on two levels. Number one, that I said it. Some to whom I said it were a little taken aback and actually a little shocked. Mm-hmm. And once they recovered, I could see it on their faces. It took a moment or two to recover. 9 times out of 10, I got a returning smile, and they said right back to me, Merry Christmas.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's something that's changed. I think that everything you see with the case with the baker right now in the Supreme Court, I think you've seen this war on Christmas take place. I think you've seen this belief that freedom of religion is somehow freedom from religion and that people aren't allowed to openly celebrate. You've seen cities take down their nativity scenes, their Christmas scenes. They've gone away from calling it a Christmas celebration to a holiday celebration to make it all-inclusive.
And then we laugh with Festivus.
Yes, we laugh with Festivus.
That was a takeoff. It's funny. Comedy is funny because it contains elements of truth.
Right.
Festivus for the rest of us. Why Festivus? Because so many people are ashamed now of saying Christmas and get excoriated for saying Merry Christmas or referring to Christmas instead of holidays.
Right.
Go to your TVs right now. On the left coast, it's almost 10 p.m. On the east coast, it's almost 1 a.m. Wherever you are, when you stop listening to us, go to a TV, watch the ads, and see how many ads refer to Christmas. Yep. Actual Merry
Holiday
Christmas
sales.
Or it's a Christmas sale.
Mm-hmm.
How many? Zip.
0.
None. 0.
Chime in for the holidays at Target, where we have blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, no, it's the only, look at, I know that it is the biggest store-driven holiday going, right? We have Black Friday, we have all the things, and we definitely have the stigma with it that it's financially related and that it is only a financial holiday that has kind of steeped through this country. I know that there are other holidays in which people are specifically said a happy X, Y, and Z. Happy this holiday. Merry Kwanzaa. Happy Kwanzaa. Festivus Kwanzaa. All of those things people will say no problem, right? For the rest of the year. Any other holiday, hey, happy Valentine's Day, happy St. Patrick's Day, happy this, happy that. Merry Christmas. And by the way, St. Patrick's Day is steeped in religion too. And most people don't know that.
Well,
the saint part of that
I was just
should give it away.
Yeah, it's like, hello, saint.
Right.
That's called the clue.
You know, St. Valentine was the patron saint of gift cards and overcharged chocolates. I understand that as well.
Right.
But the reality is for whatever reason, Christmas, because it is the biggest celebration for Christianity, is the one that is constantly attacked and they attempt to remove. Now, look, if you believe in whatever religion and on this day of the year you guys want to put up lights and celebrate as well, go for it. It's America. You can do that. But the reality is freedom of religion is not freedom from religion. Folks, that's it here for the Sackheads Radio Show. Of course, BZ will be back tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, very special. I've got my special politics and paranormal show. I've got Alan Thomas, formerly of Paranormal Central, on, and we're going to talk about. He's a Sasquatch hunter, by the way.
Right.
We're going to talk about Sasquatch, Bigfoot, UFOs, all sorts of things paranormal, and he's going to tell us all about his new show.
Right.
It's going to be fun. Oh, and if I can, once he's done, I'm going to open up the phone lines. And, folks, if you want to talk about anything that may have occurred to you,
go for it.
I'll tell you my story if you tell me yours.
So that's on the Bloviating Zeppelin tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, right here on the SHR Media Network. Folks, I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
From the SHR family, from the Sackheads Radio Show, to you and your family, I wish you a very, very Merry Christmas to you and yours. And we will absolutely see you next week, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, right here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network. Have a great rest of your week.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.